everybody, I'm Alexis and I help people pursue their real, undiluted, authentic dreams. I upload twice a week, so if you're interested in personal development, risk-taking, designing the life you love, then please subscribe. In this video, I'm talking about how to pursue that one thing that you would do if fear was no problem. So we take kind of a journey back into your childhood dreams, how fears squash those dreams, then how you can squash those fears, and then how you can finally get back to pursuing that one thing that you've always wanted to pursue. So if you want to stop living on the defensive and dealing with fear and start living a life that you love on the offensive, then keep watching. If you think about it, when we're children, we are just completely present in our bodies, untainted by the world, no insecurities because we haven't had any negative messaging yet. No one's told us that we're not good enough or that our dancing isn't practical or that our finger painting will never get us anywhere. And, we're just like starry-eyed and we're not thinking about money, things are taken care of for us. And so you're just doing things that you love and you develop these hobbies and you play and you just do what's fun for you. And that's what I feel like the basis of life is. That's the foundation of life. If you can get back to your natural state, the way that you were designed to be, I think that's your flow state. I want you to think back to your childhood. Think back to all the things that you used to really love to do, whether it was painting or dancing or listening to music or reading or, just anything that you like to do. Think back to your childhood, the things that you loved to do then, before the world told you that you couldn't do it or that you weren't good at dancing or that you weren't good at finger painting or whatever it was. Think back to what that thing was for you. Because I think there's actually a lot of power in the things that we like to do when we were children. I think back for myself, when I was little, I thought about being an actress, I thought about singing, I really loved music, I thought about being a professor, I thought about being the president. There are lots of things that I thought about, and then as time goes on, you realize, oh, that's not practical for me, I can't do that. So then kind of the second step then, after you got these big dreams, the next step in our development is those things get squashed by fear. And everything that we want to do is completely squashed. People trample on them, people reject us, or they are doing us a favor. They're like, oh, we don't want you to get rejected later on, so we'll just tell you the hard truth now that you're never gonna make it. And so then your fears and your dreams get crushed, and then you start believing it, and that's the hardest part. It's one thing for other people to tell us that we'll never be good enough, but then after a while, when you hear these messages enough, or maybe they weren't even directed at you, but you heard an adult say that to another person, as soon as you hear those messages long enough, you start to believe it yourself, and you're like, yep, I gotta grow up, I gotta stop with this childish stuff, I gotta actually grow up, do what everyone else is doing, I gotta go to college and get a stable job. It's not really what I love, but I'll have fun on the weekends. And then over time you realize you're not even having fun on the weekends. And it just started because we started asking ourselves all those questions. Oh yeah, am I really worthy? Do I have what it takes? Is this practical? It's not practical for me to do it. I need to have natural talent to do this, and I don't have the natural talent, so I guess I can't do it. And we just start telling ourselves basically all this BS because we started hearing it from other people and we started believing it. And so then we sold out. We're all basically sellouts, myself included. I went through this phase and I started asking myself, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? And the answer that I found out was I guess I don't. I don't have the courage to do something no one else is doing, or that hardly anyone else is doing. I don't have the courage to actually pursue my passion because there's no path for that. There's no path laid out in front of you. So I'm like, no, I'll do the safe thing. I'm not brave enough. I'm not naturally talented enough. I'll just do the safe thing. And then something happens. And I'm not sure what the turning point is for most people, but I've heard a lot of stories of people having something bad happen in their life and it shakes them out of that stupor. It shakes them out of this stable life that they've been living. For me, it was a breast lump that I got. And I realized that I didn't want to spend 40 years working my way up a ladder in a job that I didn't love. So that's what shook me out of it. It's basically when the fear of regret becomes bigger than the fear of risk. And everyone has to come to that turning point on their own terms. I can't make anyone come to that turning point, but the sooner you can come to that turning point, the better. Because that is when you can actually start facing your fears, you can start getting rid of that childhood junk and that negative messaging, and you can actually pursue what you want to be pursuing. Not the watered down version of what you want to be pursuing. When I was little, I wanted to be a professor at Harvard. So I watered that down to, I'm now a junior high teacher. That's way watered down. And my plan was always to become a professor, but that was gonna take me like 40 years with the plan that I had. And so I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that either. This is an exercise that I did. It's from the book You Can Have It All by, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Rami Newstat, I think. And she talks about this 4-step exercise. So you basically look at the fear. Okay, what is it? Just write down, what are you afraid of? And then you write down, what's the worst that could happen? Just indulge yourself. You've been spending this time spinning in your head, just indulge yourself, write down literally what's the worst that could happen. And you could even push it further. You could say, and then what? Okay, so if that happens, then what? And if that happens, then what? And if that happens, then what? So really just follow it down the trail and figure out what is the worst that could happen. And now that you've had that trip down like exaggeration lane, worst case scenario, ask yourself, what do you know to be true? What are the facts? What will probably happen? And lastly, you write down the best that could happen. And I think that's a really important step because I think worry is just our imagination utilized in the wrong way. And if you could just repurpose your imagination back to the point where it's supposed to be in its hopeful state, then you can actually get a lot of stuff done, and you can brainstorm, and you can be hopeful, and you can have faith, and you can actually do things that you never thought that you could do. And you have to start realizing that if you're afraid, that means that something good is happening. It means you're getting out of your comfort zone. I never went to school teaching junior high afraid. I never was like, oh no, I don't know if I'm up for the challenge. I knew that I was up for the challenge. I knew that I could teach junior high. I knew that I was, smart enough, capable enough, because I'd seen lots of other people do it, and I said, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. Now, it's different when you want to be an entrepreneur and you haven't seen any of those examples, or if you want to be an internet marketing person, or whatever you want to be. If you haven't seen people that you personally know do it, it's really difficult. It's difficult when you don't have role models to step out and do something, because then it feels like you're the first. And in reality, I'm not the first to step out and be an entrepreneur, but I don't know anyone else who's done internet marketing entrepreneurship. So in my circle of people, I am the first one. And so it feels scary. I don't know any people. Whereas being a teacher, I have tons of teachers in my family. I've seen them do it. If I ever had any questions, I could just go ask them. So starting out this way, my biggest fear with this was that I would work hard at YouTube for like 10 years and nothing would happen. I wouldn't get monetized, nothing would happen. So that I would effectively waste 10 years, so that I wouldn't get anything out of it. So I had to say, okay, that's what I'm afraid of. What do I know to be true? I know to be true that even if that did happen, that would be really helpful for me. I would learn communication skills. It would solidify my understanding that by teaching, I would learn. I also know to be true that on average, it takes 153 videos to get monetized. It will take a while, but if I can just put in the time and the hard work, that I can probably get there. And what I've started flipping the switch is it's not natural talent, it's hard work. That's been a hard shift for me to make in my mind, because if you say it's all about natural talent, then you can just write yourself off like, oh, nope, I don't have that natural talent. On the flip side, if you have that fixed mindset and you say that I do have natural talent, then there's a lot at stake there, because as soon as you make one mistake, it means that you don't have any natural talent. So that's kind of that's a difficult line to walk. And then I said, what's the best that could happen? Well, the best that could happen is I could freaking get monetized and I could do this as a career. That's what's best that could happen, and it might take me a while, but the best thing that could happen is that I could get monetized and I could do YouTube for a job. And it'll take a bunch of crappy videos to get there, and I'll make a bunch of crap that I don't like and I'm not proud of, but it'll teach me what I need to know so that I can eventually, by the time I get monetized, be making things that I'm actually proud of and things that are good. So it's just a matter of, am I willing to make crappy things for a while? Am I willing to pursue a creative thing and hate my work? Can I be a songwriter and hate the songs I write? Can I be a YouTuber and hate the videos that I make for a while? That's really hard. It's so hard for me to make videos that I'm not proud of, because then you don't feel accomplished at the end of it. But I have to understand that this is the long game, and I will feel proud of this in a year or at some point later down the road. So I also have a video. It's about the book You Are a Badass, and it's about how to get over limiting beliefs. And I think that's also really helpful in this step. I've used Rami Newstadt's method. I've used Jen Sincero's method. So that's another video that you could check out if you're interested in kind of getting over limiting beliefs, because I think that's honestly the biggest part. It's not the hard work that's difficult. It's getting over yourself that's the hardest part. And so finally, there's pursuing the life that you've always wanted. And it definitely takes some work. I mean, there's the Dunning-Kruger effect, so it's like when you have little experience, your confidence is high. You're like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. And then as soon as you get some experience, you're like, oh, I suck at this. And then over time, as you get more experience, you get better and better, and your confidence builds and builds and builds. And honestly, I totally get it. I would, like 2 months ago, I was all about YouTube. I was like, yes, it's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna love this. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so easy. So my confidence really high. And now I've been doing it for 2 months, and I'm like, boo. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get the lights out every time, and get the camera out and the tripod every time, and I hate seeing my videos, and I have to get ready every time, or I don't like the way that I look, and I don't like the way I sound, and I have to get energized, because otherwise I just feel like I suck the energy. It's like, ugh. So it's rough. I'm in the middle of if I'm not at the very bottom, I'm on my way down. I'm definitely feeling like the low point of that Dunning-Kruger effect, where I'm like, oh, my confidence is so bad. And I think if you can just make it out of that trough, then you're good to go. Who knows how long that takes. I think maybe this whole thing, I've heard that it takes like 5 years to become an expert at something, so maybe this is like the 5-year mark, so maybe I'm not to the bottom yet. We'll see how it goes. But it's really hard to do something creative and then realize that you suck at it. But if you can just make it out of that trough, then I think you're good to go. So really, you just have to be willing to take step one and suck for a while. And it's not, people call it taking the leap, and it's not really taking the leap is what I found. It's like you just make the decision, and it feels kind of anticlimactic. It's not like taking a leap. You just make the decision, and then it's this turtle crawl out of this trough of despair. It's like a leap when your confidence all high, like yes, and then you get all dejected, and then it's just this turtle crawl on the way up. It's just what I've heard it called like 10,000 unsexy steps, and I'm feeling that right now. I'm definitely feeling it. But my biggest advice in this whole process is just make sure that you're making time for things that you love. I have a video about how to design your life and plan and schedule some time for fun, and that's been really helpful for me. Like, I love reading, and I've made sure, like, I'm reading a book a week now, and I have been loving it. I had forgotten how much I love to read, so I've been doing that. So just make sure that you schedule in things that are fun for you, and then just kind of explore where your heart takes you. And then I also have a video that I just came out with about how to make a digital vision board. So if you're at the beginning and you're feeling all jazzed about like quitting your job or whatever, then go ahead and check out that video. It's about how to create a digital vision board and torn paper effect, and just really, I'm all about life design right now. I realized that I didn't like the life I was living, and so a lot of my videos right now are about how to change that and how to really fall in love with life again. Well, I'm at the point now where I feel like I'm facing my fears and I'm just doing the thing. And I've kind of made a combination, I'm wanting to pursue YouTubing, and I've kind of combined some of those careers that I wanted to do when I was a child. Like, YouTubing is kind of like combining acting, and then the way I'm doing it is kind of like being a professor. And it could eventually it could bridge into something that's like being a CEO, which like I also wanted to be when I had all sorts of stuff that I wanted to do. So that's what I'm kind of doing. So I'm kind of bridging some of those things that I wanted to do when I was a child, and I'm doing it. I'm pushing through the hard work, pushing through the suck. But I don't think it has to come to something so tragic like mine did, getting a breast lump. I think for me, it was the combination of getting a breast lump, and then also with COVID, having a lot of time off, being a teacher, and getting stable enough to going ahead and doing it. As I'm going up the levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, getting closer and closer to like self-esteem and self-actualization, getting more to those higher levels, it took me getting some stability in the bottom levels. And for a long time I was battling finances and cars always breaking down and out of energy because I'm teaching, and I just hadn't slowed down and gotten stable enough to where these feelings could really surface. But once you can get those bottom levels of Maslow's hierarchy stable, then you start thinking about and dreaming about things that you want back to when you were a kid. Because when you were a kid, you had all those bottom levels taken care of for you. So it was really just, all you were thinking about was what's fun to you. And so once you can get those bottom 3 levels of Maslow's hierarchy stable, then you can get back into really pursuing what you want to do. So I want you to punch fear in the face. I want you to do that one exercise, figure out what's that one fear, the one thing that you want to do, and I want you to punch fear in the face. And I want you to go after that one thing that you know you love to do. So do the exercise, get your fears out of the way so that you can pursue the life you love. Thanks so much for watching.